Alright, you ready to start working on the dagger?
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh yeah.
I worked. This is like 48 hours worth of work.
Yeah, let me see.
Let's slay some goblins with that thing.
Uh-huh. Okay, you ready to start working on the dagger?
Well, that was my entry for the 2022 Dagger Challenge. I guess I'll just have to make something else. Down that end that's a little splooshed, and then we'll switch over to our drawing dies. We're going to start drawing out the length that we need for our dagger. So that is a good thickness that we want for the blade. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to shape my point, and then I'm going to put my kind of my ricasso area where my guard's going to sit into, and create another step down for the tank. So the important thing to do when you're making swords or daggers or anything that's double-edged, whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. A lot of times what happens is you'll start working your piece and you work out one side. You'll end up with a curved sword. So what you want to do is make sure you forge one side and then forge the other. Now we're getting to the point where I've got too much tang. So the next thing we're going to do is just cut off the rest of the tang that we don't need. Tang like with the spaceman drink. Yeah. Mix it in a cup of water and sip it as it floats through the air. This is about the color too.
Yeah, that's true. Quench the dagger in a glass of tang.
That'd be good.
So why is it stepped like that?
I want a defined area where the guard is going to slip into, but then I also want a defined area that's going to be where my handle slips up to, and the stepping basically just allows me to make it to that point, so that way it's nice and tight, but then also it doesn't go down any further. It just gives me a different dimension to work with.
How about some mid-video testing for you this time? So I was told in the last challenge that I cut through a chicken bone, and all the while impressive, somebody else chopped through a 2x4. So this is antler.
I really think this is going to make the perfect dagger guard. There's plenty of material to be able to draw out tines for it, and then we'll be able to forge and compress it around the tang, and it's already almost to a good grip for a dagger. Man, that's like a perfect find.
Of course, that was just a reenactment, but that's exactly how Logan found that piece. He stumbled on it walking through a gravel lot. We're not sure what it is, where it came from, or what it's made of. If you recognize it, drop us a comment. We're curious. Now, the more observant among you have already noticed this chunk of metal never made it onto the finished product. It was a bit of a fiasco. Nothing new for Brackin Blades Forge. Stay tuned.
Oh!
What?
Look at that.
What are we looking at?
I don't know. That's weird. It's split, dude. Look. It literally just sheared open.
This is only about a 1 on the fiasco meter. More of an inconvenience that we can work around. It's about to ramp up to, I'd say, about an 8.
Let's heat it back up. Huh. Yeah, I think that's fine. Let's see what happens. So right now you can look inside here, and we're forging down, fighting that piece, but you can tell it's got a big crack in it, but it's not completely severed over here. So we're gonna try and keep working with it, see if we can get it usable, because the whole point of this build was to just use complete junk.
And then it happened. We almost burned the shop down. Oh no, we're all gonna die eventually anyway. And of course my camera wasn't rolling for any of it, but it was a mess. Logan was nearly set ablaze. However, he did remain in good spirits.
Unfortunately, we won't get to use the piece that we were planning on for the guard. That's okay, we've got more metal. We'll start again.
Here's a small scale version of what was happening in the forge at the time. In the aftermath.
Yeah, pretty crazy. I looked up and I looked down and I saw sparks, and I went to grab it, and when I grabbed it, the guard portion right here like blew out, and I was like, oh, what is going on? So then I knew I had to get it out of the forge, because I didn't know what was about to happen to it. And then when I dropped it on the ground, it just exploded and there was sparks and goo everywhere. So who knows? Like I said, I'll get somebody to look at it.
Fortunately, we had this laying around we could use, and we were confident it wouldn't explode. I believe it's a jackalope antler, if I'm not mistaken.
Again, I do not know how to avoid getting myself cut. So we're going to move on to grinding out the handle shape. My recommendation is make sure you have yourself a good contact wheel. It's always super helpful when you come into grinding and rough shaping in your handles.
We're doing a wire wrapped handle for this one. We're using two different braided lines, copper and nickel. Logan built this jig to wind the handles. It's pretty ingenious.
Well, this handle actually turned out really good. I'm really happy with that copper and that nickel twist. Just looks really pretty.
So there's a couple ways we can approach carving out this sheath for this knife. We can do it one way, or we can do it my way. So we're gonna do it my way. My goal is to just cut a quick line on the outside and then chisel down to make the final shape. That was definitely cooler than I thought it was gonna be. And I think I burned some of the arm hairs off my arm, but I think it'll work.
feel like I need to go play Skyrim. You know, like Kusroda!
Swords and axes for the adventurer like yourself. Have a look around.
For watching our video today. This is my entry for the 2022 YouTube Dagger Challenge. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and also head over to our Patreon and consider supporting us. We really appreciate it. Thanks and stay sharp.